Hey Vikings, I'm Aubrey,
And I'm Paiton.
and today we are reviewing A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen.
Yes, so drench the cup of coffee as we dive between these paper sheets.
All right.
Let's do it. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to this episode. We are back with a book review. It has been a hot minute, but we have been reading our little butts off, and we are here for this, much anticipated book. So if you don't know, I'm going to give you a little rundown about how our podcast works. Right now, this is our NS section. So, non-spoiler, we are going to give you a bit of a rundown of this book. Some thoughts, we give our star ratings at the end, and then the purpose of that is if you just want a little introduction to the book, a little bit of thoughts, feelings, you can come back then and join us for our spoiler section. We always let you know when we're entering the spoiler section, so you are not blindsided. So just don't skip ahead, because you might just jump into the spoiler section. So anyways, Aubrey always starts off with a brief description of the book, and then we'll get into some general convo. We like to talk about writing style, plot, not what happens in the plot, but just kind of our thoughts. So yeah, take it away.
All right. So this is our steamy Norse myth romantasy book. And I'm going to read the Goodreads thing because I could not think of the words to say this. So thankfully Goodreads and editors and people whose jobs in it did it for us. Okay. Found in an unwanted marriage, Freya spends her days gutting fish but dreams of becoming a warrior and of putting an axe in her boorish husband's back.
Yes.
Freya's dreams abruptly become reality when her husband betrays her to the regent's Jarl, which Jarl is a Norse version of Duke.
Yeah.
But more of a war general. You got to think when we're reading this book and reviewing it, it's Vikings. We are committed to the aesthetic. Okay. Landing her in a fight to the death against his son, Bjorn. To survive, Freya is forced to reveal her deepest secret. She possesses a drop of a goddess's blood, which makes her a shield maiden with magical capabilities of repelling any attack. It was foretold such magic would unite the fraction nation of Skaland beneath one who controls the shield maiden's fate. So basically, the Jarl guy, the Duke guy, heard this prophecy forever ago about this shield maiden bitch. She was told to keep her identity a secret. She didn't. She saved her ass, but revealed it. And now the Jarl, forces her into a marriage between him and her.
Power
in
hungry.
order to control her because he wants to become king of all of the little Viking clans and not just be a Jarl anymore. Okay? Are we following? Okay. So desperate to prove her strength, Freya must train to fight and learn to control her magic, all while facing perilous tests set by the gods. Because the gods are this is they're interacting type shit in this world. They have a stronger presence than in some of the other worlds. They are interacting.
Fair.
The greatest test of all, however, because this is a romantasy, people, may be resisting her forbidden attraction to Bjorn. If Freya succumbs to her lust for the charming and fierce warrior, who's also her son-in-law, she risks not only her own destiny but the fate of all the people she swore to protect.
Yes, we have lots of conflict here. Also, with that being said, when we get into characters, I am not an expert on Norse pronunciations. No. So we are doing our best, okay? But I think we did pretty
what? I feel like I struggle with any fantasy name. I don't know enough to know if these are just obviously Freya is a real name, but if other ones of these are real Norse names. But to me, they're just fantasy names, just I don't know how to pronounce kale. Cool.
Every time.
Every time. I don't think I said it right either way.
So anyways, crazy.
And that feels like a lot, but you get that in chapter 2. That's how we set off. And then the book kind of follows. It starts with this interaction where she gets discovered as the chosen one type thing. And then she has to keep doing these tests and trials placed forth by the gods or by people telling her what to do. Either way, all while she is lusting big time for her
Son-in-law.
But
Yeah.
it's okay because he's hot in her age, and her husband is old and has like a first wife, and they didn't bang.
Yes.
So
No, they never bang. So the thing here is that, and what I really respect about this book, and I think
yeah,
fantasy writers and aspiring authors should take into consideration, is start at the conflict.
yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
For a romantasy book, fantasy is one thing. I understand. Like
Mhm.
high fantasy. But this, starting right in that action, literally everything Aubrey just read is the first chapter. Like, there's
Yeah.
so much more that goes into this book, but like that is the first chapter. And I think getting into a book that you know like nothing about, except that
Mhm.
there's Vikings and like it's a romantasy,
Yeah,
to start there in that like fighting, like kind of high stakes action was so helpful
yeah.
jumping into this book. So,
Yeah,
and it
we
really helped you
immediately
connect to
saw-
the characters.
We immediately saw the magic. We saw her flirting with Born, and then we saw this whole like Viking structure, her fighting, and then her literally killing her husband, which shows her character so well. And I loved that she was
Exactly.
like, I don't feel bad about this.
No, she did not. Did not. Anyway, so that is something you can look
Yes.
forward to when you read the book. But let's get
Yes.
into these characters. I think the characters were pretty well thought out.
I agree.
They all, the main characters, some of the side
Mhm.
characters like kind of fade for me, but I think she got Freya's character really well.
Yeah.
Bjorn, I think it is kind of still a mystery to us for a reason. Because
Yeah.
the way the book ends, I think he's supposed to be that brooding, mysterious kind of, that dark-haired,
Mhm.
tall. I don't really know what color hair he has, but in my head, he's like, your typical
Unfortunately, I
fantasy
think
man.
it might be blonde, but we can pretend
Because
that
he's
it's
a
not.
Viking, I'm sure it's blonde.
He
but
does
I'm
have
gonna
green
look into it
eyes.
right
I
now.
know that.
Yeah.
But I feel like they mentioned at some point because he has a half brother.
Oh no, he
And-
has I just looked up fan art.
Oh.
He has, because I was like, we always want to know what they look like, and
we
we
need
can
to
now.
know.
He has, think like big and strong. He has long hair on the top that goes into a ponytail, but shaven sides, and he has,
Oh.
and then he has tattoos. He's
I
he's
don't like
hot.
shaven sides.
This is
I'm
very
sure.
Viking. You have to commit to the plot. He's a Viking.
Yeah,
like, they
you
have
have
the
to
shaven
commit to
sides
it.
and the long tops. And then Freya, we know, is blonde and beautiful.
Yes. Though
yeah.
she looked like me when I was reading.
Yeah,
They were like
yes.
blonde hair, and I'm like, what do you mean? I don't have
You mean
blonde hair.
brown? You mean brown hair? Every
Brown
time I was reading the Throne of Glass books, and every time they mention Aelin, I'm like, you mean me?
You mean
me?
Yes,
and it's any character. So
I feel like these characters filled the role of any romantasy book.
Yeah.
I'm unfortunately like nothing against this book because I love it and I think it's good, but I feel like we're reading too many romantasies back to back that all of these characters are feeling the same. Like the feisty girl who can't keep her tongue, like who can't resist back mouthing people, and then like the brooding male who was so clearly infatuated with the girl from page 1 and will never do anything bad to hurt her except like you're like, ooh, but he makes some risky decisions, but like it's all because he truly loves her. Like,
yeah, I mean, the
she
thing
did
is,
it
if
well.
you
She
like
did
that,
it really well, but
if you like that pipeline, here's another
yeah.
one. It's one of those books that if this is your first romantasy, Bjorn's going to become your favorite character ever because this is your first time experiencing that. For us, we have a myriad of men that have come before Bjorn, and so we're like, you'll never compare to this person or this person or this person.
Yeah.
Because I fell in love with this, tall, dark, handsome man before you, and so, that's like, to us, we're like, oh, okay, like. But by the end of the book, I wasn't like, oh, I love Freya or oh, I love Bjorn. I was like, this is adorable. I'll probably read the second one. Like,
You
that's
know who
kind
I
of
did love? I don't know how to say her name, but the first
Bodil.
wife,
Oh,
Yalva.
wait,
Listen.
you mean the bitch?
Yes, I do mean the bitch. I do mean the bitch.
She's
I am
not.
a bitch supporter. Okay, listen. I think that she was so incredibly realistic and yet
Yeah.
honestly, Freya had beef with her for no reason. Like, yes, she treated her like a child, but that's because you are. Like, this woman is 20 years your senior. She is old enough to be your mom, and she's pissed off that her husband has a new young bitch. Like, I really related with her story. But what I really liked is that, like, one, she had such a strong marriage. Like, it wasn't like you can take whatever you want about Snorri, the Jarl.
Yeah, Snorri. I call him Snorri.
Whatever you want to get, like, obviously he's gonna be the bad guy, but she is like, I'm here to protect my marriage and I'm here to protect my people. Like, she had the right frame of mind. She's like, you dumb bitch, get in line. We have shit to do. And she always put her people first. I respect it.
Oh, that's great. No, I will say her character stands out, like, probably like the most vibrant out of all of them. I've never read this author before.
Yeah,
It's my first book,
Danielle
and
Jensen.
other than some pacing issues for me personally, you read this much faster, so maybe you feel a little different. It took me probably like 2 weeks to get through. There's books that I consume, and if I don't know, you just know when you know. And for me, the middle was very slow. But the beginning was great, and the ending I zoomed through. But it's also the ending of the book, so you kind of like see where you're at and just read. So
I feel like the prose was like a step up from like normal books, especially normal romantic books. Like, it wasn't anything like, oh my god, this literary masterpiece. Like, I wasn't like drooling over the prose, but I think it was very well structured at like that sentence level, at a higher level than some of these other romantic books that we've been reading.
Right.
I think, I don't know, the pacing for me, I did read it quick, and I think it was fairly consistent throughout the book. I just felt like I didn't connect enough.
Yeah,
Like, when she would
maybe
be
that's
going
it.
on to the next test or trial, I was like, well, where's the in-between time? Like, I was thinking back to it. I think this entire book took place in like a week.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't get. I don't get why an author can't be like, okay, she joins up and she spends the next month training. Like, you don't have to see it. We don't have to spend page time.
There was one chapter of training. One chapter.
But like, and like, we don't have to see it all on the screen because I don't want to be bored down by training scene after training scene. But like, why the hell can you not just say, okay, then we stayed here for a week and like give that fictional time? Because the fact that all of this shit happened in like a week, I swear to God, because every single event they were like, okay, we're going to leave immediately. We're going to go do this immediately.
I agree.
I was just like, everything felt so urgent that nothing was urgent.
Well, see, that's interesting, like, from like a writing point of view that I never thought of. If I think of my favorite books, they happen over months of time. Like, I'm like a Fourth Wing stan. I love Fourth Wing, but one chapter will be like a month later from the last chapter. And so in turn, that actually moves the story along a lot faster, even though it's like backwards where it's like a week and you think the pacing would be really fast. But to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how are you already in love? Like, and it doesn't make sense to the reader, like, without knowing. And so I think that by giving that fictional time, like, I think you're so correct. Like, it does make me feel like, oh, we're moving shaken. Like, wow, a month's gone by already versus, wait, that was yesterday? Like, how many? But that's I used to be obsessed with the show Vikings, and I will say, those bitches were raiding each other every other day. Like, they just would raid. Like, that's their thing. So it was also very interesting to get into the culture of this book. But I'm sure we'll go into that in the spoiler section.
So for the world building, I think it was a very unique blend of like what I already knew for Norse mythology. Not that I know the most, but I have read books with similar settings before. I feel like, I don't know if she did anything like truly too different from the original myths, but I really liked the focus on this, like, what is fated versus unfated, like what like this idea that like mortals' lives are like already pathed, and what does that mean? And we got like different perspectives from it, and like the way the magic, like
it was
I
very
feel
unique.
like, yeah, and I feel like she did it really well.
I have to give her kudos, because a lot of times that, you know, we like in Powerless or like Red Queen, right? Like you play into like, oh, who has powers and who doesn't have powers, and like this, like who has a drop of blood and who doesn't, who's faded, unfaded. It's all very similar, but it's so different at the same time.
Yeah.
So like this is a perfect example of taking inspiration but not literally copy paste. And I think I have to give her praise on it, because it is different and it is unique, and we do read a lot of romantasy to the point where it's like, oh, okay, well, we know what's going to happen here. So the fact that we're like, yes, I think this world building is absolutely different. It's different.
I think
and it's unique.
It's an A+ from me. I think it's very unique. I haven't read a lot of things, so like, even though like obviously she didn't invent like clan culture or like all of that kind of stuff, I felt very immersed. I was not just reading like typical medieval like English fantasy.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I'm happy to like diversify a little bit and like jump into other worlds. And I want to get into more of the like god structure and my thoughts on that in the spoiler section, because I like have a lot to say and I like absolutely adored it. Okay, star ratings. I forgot what I rated this book and I just finished it, so I went on Goodreads.
I was gonna say, I looked at your Goodreads when I was doing mine.
Aubrie finished at like 2 a.m. this morning. So
yeah, I literally was like, I'm staying up, I am finishing this book, and we are filming a damn podcast about it. Like,
yes. All right, what did you land on? Are we similar? Because you've seen my rating.
I think so. So it's a 3.5 for me. And I was gonna do 4 on Goodreads, and then I was like, no, I think it's 3, because I was thinking about other like 4 stars that I've read lately. I really enjoyed this, and I like got through it, and I'm excited for the next one. And there was a lot of like on the world building side, I felt like everything was very unique, but the characters to me just felt so much like things that I've seen before, and not fault to the author, just like, you know, like my taste is changing and I've read so many of these in the past that like I just was like, okay, yeah, like I know exactly what all these characters are doing and thinking because I've seen this show before.
Yeah. I think I've seen this film before. And I didn't like the ending. Okay, so along those lines, 100%. I'm going to read exactly what I put on Goodreads, because I think this sums it up. And I wrote this at 1 a.m. when I finished the book. So
it's a 1 a.m. finisher.
I like reviewing books right when I finish them because it's raw, but sometimes you get fake reviews. So I'm trying to be real with myself these days, as your sister has set me in my place. Chloe, I'm trying. Okay, this is a 3 for me. It's 3.5. I want to do 3.5 because I'm reflecting on the world building now and having like strong feelings. So, the beginning and end of this book was great. I didn't love the characters, and the plot got very repetitive for me and sometimes boring. But I think book 2 has the possibility to be amazing because of what we're going to get into the spoiler section, the ending of this book. A lot of times I find this is different for a lot of people, but usually for me, the second book in a fantasy series, or especially since this is a duology, I always like the second book better. If I'm not jiving with the love story, like the plot just like takes off. So, because in Divine Rivals, I didn't jive with the love interest, but the plot really took off in the second one, and I was like obsessed. So I think that's how this one's gonna be.
I'm here actually for the plot, guys. Like,
but I liked this more than Divine Rivals, so I feel like it needs to be 3.5. Yeah. Because there was no dual POV. Imagine that.
That's true. Oh my gosh. The dual POVs, especially with some of our book club books we've been reading lately, I'm like, take me out. Actually, don't put me in another man's head. I can't. If there's romance and that's a heavy part of your book, sorry, there shouldn't be dual POV. And we talk about this like every episode, I swear.
It's not happening. All right. So with that being said, those are our star ratings. Thank you. We gave you quite the non-spoiler section today. So let's jump through our spoiler section.
Yes.
We are now in our spoiler section. If you haven't read the book, skirt on out of here and come back. We are starting now with Freya. In the beginning of the book, reveals her powers, and she kills her stupid ass husband. She throws an axe into the back of his head, and it's amazing.
Yeah, Book of the Month did that post that was like, fuck this as son-in-laws, kill the hubs. And they really meant it, because we're killing the husband right on page 1. And obviously, Snorri is going to, like, we're going to have to kill him. Like, clearly he's the bad guy in all of this.
Which isn't a surprise. Like, you know, from the moment that bitch starts talking, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're the bad guy.
I did like that her using Bjorn's axe, because, like, right off the bat, I don't, like, even though they had fought, I didn't really get that it was, like, that fiery fire of an axe. And I like that it burned her fucking hand, because there was, like a consequence to that action, even though, like, I agree with the action, but, like, she kind of just acted spur of the moment, and it was like, maybe you shouldn't have done that. And then I love that they kept the scars. Like, at the end of this book, she didn't get, like, magic healer to wipe away all of her beauty blemishes. Like, I feel like that's very Viking, of being like, no, like, look at the she was like, I think it's ugly, and I was like, I don't know, like, I feel like I'd take that as like a battle pride wound. Like,
oh my god, that's so funny you mentioned the scars, because there was this quote that Bjorn said to her. He said, "Not all scars we earn are skin deep, Freya, born in fire. There is no less honor in them." So
yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, there's some good quotes in here, so if I think of them, I'll, like, say them. But because I of course didn't underline shit this book. I
know, if it's not on the Kindle, I'm not highlighting, I'm not taking notes.
No, I just I would never have a pen with me. But anyways, so yeah, that was a crazy way to start the book. And as I said in the non-spoiler section, like, we get right into the action. But when she, like, picked up his axe, I'm, like, imagining his face, like, oh shit, like,
yeah, he was literally like, I thought you were, like, I let you go to kill your husband, not to touch my weapon, like, you idiot.
You idiot. Oh.
Okay,
so Snorri basically says, you're mine. They get married.
I'm gonna control you.
They get married. And this part was amazing. And this is when your girl, I
just have so much respect for her. She was like, yeah, you have to marry her, like, protect the people. But then when it came time to fuck, she was like, never mind. This isn't worth it.
And that made the whole Freya Bjorn romance pipeline help, because if she would have had sex with his dad and then had sex with him, like, we wouldn't feel okay with that. And so instead of having sex, they do an oath. But in any fantasy novel, if you're not, like, consummating the marriage, it's actually not real. So they actually don't have a real marriage in fantasy land.
That's also, I mean, that's how it was in, like, the old timies.
Yeah, exactly.
IRL.
I remember reading Outlander, and that's, like, a huge part of the book. And I was like, that's when I first learned, and I read those books when I was like 12. And I was like, what's happening?
I love the things of the it was like in the recent Bridgerton, the Queen Charlotte, the Queen Mom was like, hey, at least they all watched me fuck my husband. Like, be glad that it's modern times and you just have to have sex. Like, they watched me do it.
That is true. You usually did need someone to watch it happen. That is crazy.
So you can't get away with shit like this. But I will say, with the oath, obviously you can already tell where this book is going. Like, we know that Bjorn is the love interest, and that whatever's going on with this, anything that they think is the dad is actually the son. And in the oath, she was like, I will, like, obey, like, your blood, or, like, I won't tell anyone but your blood, which exonerates Bjorn. Because they didn't say him, they said his blood, which Bjorn has.
And I love the typical, like, Bjorn being, like, in his bag and, like, gets drunk on mead. And, like, he goes to the mead hall and, like, he can't handle it, or, like, whatever. And so I don't know if I see this in here, but basically, Snorri is like, okay, you have power, but you need to learn how to use your power. And so Bjorn, you're fucking in charge of Freya. And then
Yeah.
so this is where you're like, oh, forced proximity. Like they have to.
The
We did
guard
not get enough of
trope.
that. I didn't feel fulfilled
Yeah.
by that. I think the author
No.
could use this to her advantage more to help us fall in love with them both.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
regardless, they have to
'Cause,
be
like,
together.
most of the time they spent together, I feel like they chose to do. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
the forced stuff. But honestly, okay, my biggest ick with this romance is that I feel like we jumped the gun way too quickly.
Oh,
Like,
100%.
okay, page 1, they're flirting. They just think they're strangers. I get it. That's fine. But we never pulled back again. And, like, we just kept getting, like, I don't know. It was so weird. So what I have on here is this is night 1. Like, literally, they took her from her thing. They got married in the same day, I'm pretty sure. Like, I think they traveled back to the thing and got married that night. That night, the neighboring Jarl attacks, and she's in the ocean, and she's already like, what if I just fuck him? Like, what if I just get it out of my system and fuck him? And I'm like, girl, you've known this man for 24 hours. 24 hours, and you're like, maybe I just need to, like, are you insane? Like, I think it moved so quick by the end of this book, and I know we're not there yet, but dropping the L bomb, they're like, I love you. And I'm like, for what a week? Like, is this The Bachelor? No, The Bachelor has more time. They spend more time together in The Bachelor than they did in this book before they were like, I'm sworn to you. You are mine. I love you. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah, and she doesn't even know the full story about how the seer, like, predicted that they are of, like, fated. Like, their fates are aligned. Bjorn's and Freya's. And that's why Snorri's like, Bjorn, you and Freya, like, you can't be without each other because you guys are bonded somehow or, like, fated to be together, even though they're unfated. But it doesn't matter.
It didn't matter.
So, yeah. Like, already we're like, girl, chill. But you know, we're thinking the same thing. So a lot of, like, war things happen, and like, Freya is your typical, like, I'm not like the other girls. You want me to do this? I'm not. I'm gonna go and sneak out and do this. Like, a typical fantasy book. Though one of the trials she has to do, which I actually really enjoyed reading this, like, whole part, is when she has to climb the mountain to the top where, like, the god shit are. And the dregs are in there, and apparently no one's ever made it through the mountain. Like,
of course.
Ever.
Like, she has to be.
Of course. And there's, like, bodies, like, bones everywhere and shit.
No, I think that was really cool. I liked that, like, they didn't just defeat everyone. Like, first they started with the trick to get, like, the initial set of guys, but then it was like more people came out, and then she did, like, the weird, like, curse thing, which is hinting at, like, later at the end of the book. But, like, I think she's a little stupid because I think she should have figured it out then.
Are you talking about how she was able to, like, use her power to then wield his weapon?
No. Okay, so she uses her power to wield his weapon, which is cool. We already saw, like, what it could have done. Like, that was a good setup. So that's how she kills the leader guy, and then him and his clan die. But then there's all the other people who tried to rob in the meantime. And they're all there, and they're like, oh shit, we're gonna die. And she's just like, I curse you. And then they all got
Oh yeah.
Like, what? How did she think she did that? How did she think? Like, was that a shield? Was that your silver shield coming off in the ground? No, that was black vines coming for these fucking zombies things. Like,
oh, I know. It's so crazy. It's like when I, like, do something and I'm like, oh, I didn't know I could do that, and then, like, move on.
Yeah.
It's like,
she literally never thought about it again. She never thought about it again. She was thinking about Dick. She was thinking about.
Oh yeah, because someone at camp she was like freezing cold, because remember she, like, fell in the water and was like,
oh yeah, at the very end
had, like, hypothermia. Oh well, I forget what part it was. I know it was, like, towards the, like, beginning middle-ish of the book, and was it Bodil or whoever, and they were like, oh, he runs maybe it was Steinium, whatever, the girl who, like,
oh yeah,
and, like, sing and stuff. she was like, oh, he runs so hot, like he doesn't,
Mhm.
he doesn't need a
Yeah,
shirt,
yeah.
whatever. So then like they have to do the like Jacob and Bella like
Yeah.
cuddle scene. Oh, that shit gets me every
No,
time.
that was good.
It was
He
good, but
almost
like a
didn't
man running
sleep.
hot because he literally has fire in him. Like, okay,
I can
okay,
do it. I can
I
do it.
shit.
Okay. So, once we get to the top of this fucking mountain, obviously they have a little square up fight to get into the temple. And then once they're in there, I love cool magic shit. I
Oh,
love
this
when
was
there's
so
like a
cool.
big scene. And so she's sacrificing this bull. And then first I'm like, oh, because the bull's just looking at her. And
I
I'm
did
like,
not
I
like
don't think I
reading this
could do
part.
it. I don't think I could do animal sac. I was like, could we actually sacrifice a human right now? Because this old bull looking at her and being like, anyways. But so she does it. She does it because
He
she's a
does
Viking.
slice its throat.
And I was waiting for the guilt of being like, I can't believe I just did that. The bull was so sad because I'm used to like fucking Shadow and Bone. But nah, this bitch was fine. She's a Viking woman. She's like, yeah, I killed the fucking bull.
And me as a reader, I was like, square up, Payton. Like, come on, they're Vikings. Like,
Yeah,
shut up.
come on.
Like, stop it, get over it.
We gotta be tough. We're Vikings.
We're tough.
But then all of the gods showed up. That's so sick. I love it. I love a fun fantasy magical moment.
It was so cool because like we know a lot of these gods, and of course because like Avengers and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
You know,
like
Thor
Marvel.
and Loki particularly.
And I loved the Loki part because like her talking about like the mischievousness and like I don't know, I love Norse gods. Like I think that's probably like my favorite like mythological
Yeah.
like Norse mythology is like so much fun.
Mhm.
And so it was great. And so this is where I kind of like want to insert my favorite part of the book, which is and I love this part with all of the gods is I love and I think it's so fucking cool this idea of which I never read Percy Jackson, but I understand this is how Percy Jackson is kind of too, where they have blood like a blood of a god in them. But I love like when they're on the battlefield and they're like, oh, that's a son of Thor, or that's like a daughter of blah blah blah, or like I think that is so cool.
Yeah.
It's like so freaking cool to me. And so I just loved reading about those parts because we know about Thor and Loki and like all these Norse, mythology and stuff. So it was, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was fun. They're like, you think you can deal with his lightning wielding? Like, what do you think you're doing? And so, yeah, it's fun.
No, it's fun. And you know what? I don't think like a lot of fantasy books use it. Like, I think unless they are directly pulling from like Greek or Roman Norse mythology, like I feel like we don't get a lot of those like demigod or like, I mean, I know in this one you could have like two mortal parents and the god just kind of like threw their blood in there on top as well.
Yeah,
or just like watch, but it's some action. Okay, so then we see that King Halar.
Yeah, I say Halar.
Halar is there at the temple.
Yeah.
And this is immediately when I was like, okay, I know the rest of the plot of the series.
Yeah, me too.
Like, you could kind of already guess it the second they were like, oh, he was taken by the Nordlanders. Obviously, the Nordlanders are the good guys.
Yeah. They are painted out. Like, if you are pretty, like, numb to, like, romantic plots and fantasy plots in general, they do, like, King Halar is kind of, like, tongue-in-cheek, kind of, like, an asshole. But, like, I understand he's painted to us that way.
Well, also, but like
I did too.
Literally, in this first scene, he's like, I didn't kill Bjorn's mom. He's like, I didn't kill Saga. Freya just doesn't think. Like, literally, I think her biggest problem is that she doesn't use her brain. Because why in that scene, when you're watching this interaction, did you not ever think back and be like, isn't it kind of weird that this king is denying killing this woman? Like, we're Vikings, we're raiders. Like, it's not like, and they were friends before. And Bjorn keeps talking about how well he was treated over there. Like, I get, like, obviously when you're a character, like the characters that know that they're the main character, not
Yeah.
immediately suspecting like we did as readers that the Nordlands are like the good guys or whatever. But why did we not like think a little bit on the king seem like being like, I didn't kill her?
No, I think that like, and I see this a lot in especially romantic books because they're very watered down. Is
Yeah.
that a lot of times I'm like, oh, this is probably gonna happen, but I like turn off, I like put on blinders because I want to like
Yeah.
read the story as it is like made for like us to discover. So like the ending of this book, the exact thing and the situation with Bjorn, I knew it was gonna end like that, but I just wanted to like I wasn't at the end and I was like, whoa! I was like,
Yeah.
yep, I knew it. Like,
Yeah.
sweet. I was hoping this would happen. And so, yeah, same here. But this whole part with them, like, the Nordlanders showing up, and then like Snorri's there, and they have that like Freya sneaks in and thinks it's the fucking bitch.
Oh yeah, sees that someone is talking. Like obviously that was him. Oh, but I think it was because she kept saying woman, woman. And I was like, was it actually just Bjorn? And like she's just that much of an idiot. But I think it was Stendi, the Scald. I think she was the one doing a lot of this stuff because she's also working with the Nordlanders.
Oh, the stanium or whatever.
Yeah, the Scald.
Scald. Yeah, so I love that part where they had to sleep in the same room and Freya starts like whacking off. That was so awkward to read. But then imagine like you're just going at it and someone just like gets up and walks. You're like, oh shit!
It's like fuck. It's like,
bitch, I thought you were asleep.
There was something so high school about the later sex scene when he's like fingering her and they're in this room and like there's people sleeping like 2 feet away from her. I was just like, you're gonna get fucking caught. I was like, can we talk a little bit more about how loud the wind is or something like that? But they were moving around. Like he was putting his legs over her. I was like, I don't care how loud the wind is. Like you could see that he's on top of her.
Yeah. And also in the same realm, like that same night when she then sneaks out and that's when she discovers the woman talking to Pilar or whatever. When like Bjorn of course like comes and grabs her from behind and he's like, what are you doing out here, blah blah blah, and they have to act like they're having sex. And this is what I knew was like Viking, because he like rips open her top and like I don't think that would have happened in other fantasy books. Like I just don't think that fast he would have just like exposed her like that. But because it's very like Viking,
he's like well, because she said there was orgies happening, we have to like fully commit to it. But she was like, oh thank goodness the guards were looking at my tits and not my face.
Let's chat about Bodil and that connection. I thought maybe I was skimming. I am guilty of that. But at first I was unsure about this character. I was unsure about her
because my girl brings her in. My bitchy wife brings her in, and she's like, "I'm a friend of both of us."
I don't trust her, so I was like, pretty concerned.
Okay, but I love that she swore her allegiance to Freya and not Snorri, and Snorri was like, "I guess I don't have time to deal with this."
Yeah, and Snorri's like, "Girl, like." Handle your fucking friend over here, like what the hell. But so she's like a truth teller, she's able to know when people are lying, so,
which is a cool power.
I feel like recently there was something that I read that people like, I feel like I've seen this plot before, like recently. I can't remember where, but all I know is I really like it.
Too bad she's dead.
Yeah, so she dies in this crazy battle, and of course this sends Freya into a frenzy.
Oh, well, okay, so like this is another thing. She acted like Bodhi was her best fucking friend, and I was like, okay, like obviously like this girl had your back. She taught you how to fight a little bit. She told you not to sleep with your son-in-law, and like you hung out with her one night.
And yeah, they're best friends. Like she
They're
could.
they're besties.
I think this just shows like the weight of this like prophecy or whatever that
Yeah.
is weighing on Freya, and that like she feels like she's the reason why people are dying, and
Yeah.
so it's
She
affecting
also
her.
Yeah, she also kind of saw Bodhi as like the mom she didn't have. Like she kept thinking, she was like, my mom would never hug me.
Oh yeah, well,
It's just-
because speaking of her mom fucking sucks.
yeah,
Her mom
good thing
gets
that bitch is dead too. Yeah, but you know, I loved like Freya being like, yes, betray me, mom. Do what's best for you. Like in her head, but then like Bjorn's like, the fucking this bitch, and then they killed her. They're like, you shouldn't have given up your daughter,
yeah.
which is true.
Yeah.
Okay, but yes, so we kind of team up with Bodhi. We go down the mountain to protect the clansmen, which was futile because like I feel like that's kind of where I get your slow pacing.
Yeah.
Because
I was
we
over
did
it.
all this work to get to the top of the mountain. We have like a cool scene, but then we're rushing down the mountain. I feel like everything's a day travel away.
Yeah.
And then we show up and it's too late, but we are gonna skim past that because we're immediately going into the mountains. And then like she falls into the water, so she has hurt toes. For what? Like honestly, for what? Because we still could have had the like scene where Bjorn's like wrapping his body around her that night to keep warm just because we're in the mountains. So I don't know why we needed her to like have hypothermia.
There's the part where like Snorri's like, well, let's see if she can fight. So this reminds me in sports when you hurt yourself and your coach is like, get up and run, so I can see how you're running to see if you're injured. That literally was like trauma. I was like, wait, this is like in sports when your coach is like, okay, get up and run a little bit to see if you can like put pressure on it. And she the whole time is like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And she's
not
okay.
I'm running to this hill. I gotta do it. I gotta
And
prove
Bjorn's like,
myself.
Dad, like, no. And he's like,
Dad. She's
Dad.
hurt, Dad. Dad. Can we not? Which obviously he was just being a little bitch because, I mean, I think it was to protect her, but also he didn't want them to invade because the guy they were invading was working with his real daddy.
Yes, as we know, his real dad.
As we know. Okay, so final battle scene. We're get
Yes.
into it. I really appreciated that it was only one chapter. I
Yes.
appreciated that
For
this
you?
conflict was only one chapter because I'm like, eh. And with Vikings, I was so worried going into this that there was just going to be way too much fucking combat because I don't like reading about combat. But the fact that she had a little manic episode in this
She does.
combat,
He's like, you need to chill.
cool. Like literally, and she has to like wait till she can like see the footage back through like the Scald's eyes to be like, I went crazy. I was a little manic. My bad.
I can't control my powers.
But she literally, and I wonder if the author talks about this at all, but I feel like she is like so strongly classified as bipolar. Like she
Yeah.
literally has like, and we'll talk to it when we get to the end because we're almost fucking there. But like throughout this entire book, she keeps hearing these voices in her head. And then what I didn't like, she kept saying shit out loud that she was thinking in her head. And I was like, can someone read your thoughts or are you just an idiot?
Okay, so, but the one time, I don't know if we're gonna get one of my favorite like little trippy things, but she said something in her head and he responded the one time.
I think it happened like 3 times, and I don't know if it was always with him, so I don't know if we're getting that trope, or if she's just insane and is saying stuff out loud that she thinks she's thinking.
Yeah, it's one of the two.
But
Like, I
either way,
didn't read
it's
into it
cool.
that much, but the one time I go, oh, we're gonna, it's like they're connected. Obviously,
Yeah.
they're connected somehow. So maybe this whole
Mhm.
time, because he's really sneaky and kind of a dickhead, he's not like telling her, you know, like we've seen in other books before where he's like, I can read your thoughts, but I'm not letting you know that. I was like, I'm literally gonna die if that's actually what's happening here, because she like, when she's fighting, she'll hear like, do it, Freya.
Yeah.
Like
Like
her,
she
like-
literally had the angel and the devil on her shoulders.
Freya, just kill him. You don't need him.
Wait.
Or like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And then everyone was so scared of her afterwards, and like I get it, she was a beast. But like also she was like, aren't you Vikings? Like, I don't know. Didn't she like do a good job or something?
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Okay, so she's freaking out. She's having an identity crisis. She's like, I just went batshit crazy in this battle. I killed a bunch of people. I almost died. If Bjorn hadn't been like protecting my back, I need to go talk to mommy. We go. Mommy's a bitch.
Yeah.
In this encounter. Okay, let me recap it for you. She shows up. She's like, Mom, what's my heritage? Tell me the story of my birth. So this god, who was a little tricky, came and offered to save your brother if we offer up you. So we banged with this god. But then things were bad because this god was bad. But then a nice god lady showed up and protected and saved you because they said that you're going to be really batshit crazy if you don't get a little bit of good in your blood. Oh, interesting. So so this good minor god helped me a little bit. That's great. Never once does Freya spend a second thinking about the fact that they said that the bad mommy showed up first. Like in that story, she very, very clearly spelled out, hey, a bad woman god came. I thought it might have been Loki. Like, the mom literally was like, I thought it might have been Loki fucking with us. Like, we had sex with this bad god, and then good god shows up to put a little angel in you. And
but also, fuck you, we want to save your brother.
Yeah, but, like, your brother's more important. I'm just so she really was just like, that's not my problem. That's not my problem. I want to talk about the fact that you like my brother more than me.
Yeah, like, actually, Mom, this is really traumatizing because I always knew you'd like him more than me growing up. But, like, I didn't realize you got two, like, gods chilling in you. Like,
I wish she would have, like, literally, I could have gotten a sentence of her being like, oh my god, child of two bloods, ? And then moved on to deal with her mommy issues. Because, like, we acted like there was this huge reveal at the end besides the king showing up. But, like, knowing what god was important. But she was like, oh, like, she needed the king to spell it out to her to be like, child of two bloods. It's not mortal and god. It's two different gods. And I'm like, your mom literally told you about that a day ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
Also, in this book, I do... we see a huge change in Bjorn where he's like, let's go. Like, let's run away. Let's go.
Yeah.
He offers it like 10 times and she's like, no, I made a pledge to be here. And then she finally does do that at the end of the book, and then shit goes down.
Yeah. I really respect that. I think he genuinely was going to betray Daddy too. In order to just get her out. Like, I think they would have had a horrible life. Like, I love her thinking about it and being like, actually, do I just want to be normal? I don't know. But, like, I think he genuinely was going to run away with her.
I don't think he was, like, I don't think he was, they, like, jumped down those falls. I think he was actually like, fuck you, we're gonna go live in the forest.
Yeah.
And, like, bang. Like, that's seriously what I thought, but then it just didn't happen that way.
But then the king showed up because he took her. The king's like, yeah, I kind of knew you were gonna come back here, and it's like, yeah, why didn't we pick a more original spot? Like,
yeah, his burnt down childhood home that, like, he burned down,
and then the cave right next to it. It's like, oh, we got caught? ? I thought they were gonna think we were dead. Like, no, you're two, like, really powerful child of gods. Like, yeah, they're gonna check it out a little bit.
Yeah, and then we learn, of course, that his mother is actually not dead, which I knew this whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I had an inkling that she was gonna show up again.
Well, he kind of talked about her as if she wasn't dead.
Yeah.
Like, he did that kind of line where it's like, I never said anything that was untrue to you. I just misled you. Because, like, as he was talking throughout the books, he was like, oh, I really want my vengeance. But he would never say who it's against. Because obviously it's against Daddy 1, not Daddy 2. Like, that kind of stuff.
Right. And so my thing is, like, Snorri doesn't know that she's alive.
Yeah.
And so that's, important for the next book.
Bjorn's mom was just a side piece, right? Like he didn't marry her as well. She was just adultery.
I always saw it that they were together, and then she was like killed. She was killed, and
Well,
I
because
thought
he was already with wife number 1. He was already with Yalva because Yalva's the one who told him to go kill.
Well,
Stop.
I thought that him and Bjorn's mom were together, and Yalva and Snorri fell in love, and Yalva was like, "Let's kill this bitch."
Go kill this bitch.
That could be wrong, but that's the way that like I remember it. It was kind of like
Either way,
good woman meets weird man.
Snorri kind of has 3 wives.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, Freya and Bjorn's mom are sister wives. Oh my god.
Sister wives. Oh, that's so cute. That's so cute. You're my sister wife, and I'm fucking your son, who's also my son. So cute.
Yeah. In the next book, I hope that Leaf, Alva's son, like actually goes like, "Fuck you guys, I want to go live with Bjorn."
He's just a moody little teenager.
He's like 15. Poor kid.
Poor kid. Okay. Yeah. So the betrayal happened. And then she literally killed all of this guy's men. And he was like, "Bitch, I'm the only one here who hasn't lied to you." I love how mad the king was. He like showed up and he was like, "Bjorn, why didn't you fucking tell her? Because why didn't you fucking tell her? Like, she only liked you. She would have believed you if you would have just like opened your goddamn mouth."
Everyone was dead except them two, and he's just like, "What is wrong with you people?"
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, Bjorn?
He's like, what, dealing with
and he's
children.
like, "Dad." He's like, "Dad." And she's like, "Dad?"
You're not dad. My husband's your dad. God. Come on, son-in-law.
And it's so funny because now we have this like, well, they started fighting. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get a third act breakup, and then but then this happened. So now we're gonna get the classic, next book she hates him.
Next book she hates him,
it's
and
gonna be good.
Like,
we're gonna get the tension back.
Still attracted. Yeah, no, it'll be really good. I think the next book I'm excited for. I did do some Googling. I came prepared. This is most likely a duology, if my Google came up right, which I think is perfect. I think a duology is the best length. We'll have like half the book where she's mad at him, and then she'll come to his side, and then they'll go and like take over Scotland or something or the other, or free the Scotland people and go rule Nordland, like whatever.
Yeah, I think
that'll be perfect.
Like, Bjorn is going to become a king of some kind.
Yeah.
Or, this whole 2 bloodline thing, like, gods are going to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's going to get good. And I think Loki's going to show up. Like, they keep mentioning Loki, and
Well, okay, am I wrong about, because I feel like I might be confusing Avengers lore with real Norse mythology, but are Hel and Loki siblings in Norse mythology? Oh, no, she's his daughter. Who is Hel to Loki? She's the daughter of the god Loki. So Loki is her grandpappy.
Yeah, Hel is the daughter of Loki.
Makes sense, because I think that Hel or Loki is the specter who kept showing up to her, because they kept talking about green eyes, green eyes, green eyes.
I think it's
Hel. Think that it's Bjorn's mom.
I don't think it's Loki.
Yeah.
I think that because they mention Loki a lot in it, so I think Hel is the blood she has in her, right?
Oh, for sure.
And Hilm, the good. So those 2 together. So yeah, I mean, technically, like, yeah, her granddaddy would be Loki. So
yeah. Though I'm interested to see what happens, because when we were at the temple scene and she had to pray to all the gods, like, obviously we skipped over almost all of them. But we did see that she went to Loki. She started that prayer, and then she didn't ask for anything. And so I'm waiting for, like, that to come back in some way or shape. But I do think that Loki was, like, a good distraction for like the hell reveal. Like throughout it,
Yeah.
knowing that the audience is going to think about Loki, the trickster god that we know, like especially because of Marvel.
Yeah.
And then it being like it's actually a
His
woman.
daughter.
Yeah. I think
No,
that
I
was
think this is gonna be so freaking cool. I think next book, the gods are gonna be introduced more. We're gonna see more power. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I think the next book's gonna be like a good 4.5 for me, possibly. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of potential. Also, shout out, this book is written by Danielle Jensen, and I honestly never looked at who it was written by when we got them. But when I was looking up to see if this was a series or duology or whatever, this is the girl who wrote the Bridge Kingdom series books, which I have heard about and haven't read. Peyton hasn't heard about. But if you guys have read the Bridge Kingdom and really liked it or disliked us, let us know, because maybe we'll check out more by her.
Yeah, now I
Especially
see on the
depending
book
on how
that
this
literally
duology
says
ends.
best-selling author
Oh,
of the
does
Bridge
it?
Kingdom.
Yeah, like I think like it's a big deal. It's just
Also, I respect the foiling on the side. That's, I think, what
Oh my
like
gosh.
showed this book up, and I love the
yeah,
white
this book is so pretty.
and the hardcover
The style of this.
white with like
Mhm.
cool room.
Oh, and all the chapters had like
Oh yeah,
a little
respect
Viking
that.
detail. Respect it. No, it's so cool.
It's so Viking. All right, guys, that's all we have for today. Let us
Yes.
know what you're excited for. Let us know if you've read this book, what you thought of it. I wanted to know it all. This was a pretty good review. I think.
Yeah.
I think we did a pretty good job.
This
So
is a solid book.
like and subscribe and let us know what you want to see next.
All right. Thank y'all so much for joining us, and happy reading.